So I just quit my full-time or part-time job. So I'm now officially a full-time content creator. I'm now officially a full-time entrepreneur. I now work full-time for my own business. Yeah. Damn. I'm not too sure what to think of this. Here we go. Yeah, Vince, please. Man, that coffee shop was mad chaos. Absolutely mad chaos. Insane. Just people screaming, a random person just started talking to me. Had so much work come in all at the same time. Whew. This was supposed to be a relaxing coffee shop session. So, thank you.
Number 20 today, start to the right side there.
Station number 20 you said?
20.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. What's up, your stuff? What a day. But yeah, why did I take you guys through that whole day? Well, one, it was what I was doing. I had to pick up something at Walmart, and then I went to a coffee shop to do some work, and then I was able to take some time off to de-stress, go play some golf. Always been a huge fan of golf. I think it's very admirable, and it's also inspiring to see how some of the best players, after hitting one of their worst shots, they bring that back and turn it around into sometimes just getting into the hole from a chip in on a bunker. I think using that as an analogy is a good reminder that sometimes our worst times in our lives can actually lead us to some of the best times of our lives. And that sort of ties into today's video. So today's video, yes, is about me going full-time. As of March 31st, 2023, I am now full-time working for Adventures Within Media. I was previously working at another media production company, a French newspaper. I was acting as a videographer. I would only work there part-time, sometimes full-time, depending on the need they had. And they asked me last year in September if I wanted to renew the contract, and I told them no. I told them I would love to work with them if they had a specific need for me on a specific project, but as of March 31st, I would no longer be employed at that company. And so I no longer have an employment status other than Adventures Within Media. Yeah. The funny thing about all this is that, wow, like I started my own business, I'm now full-time with me, and I'd think that it would be that much more glamorous. And not to say that I'm not proud of it or it's not amazing, but it just doesn't feel like I thought it would. Now, without going too much into details, I've basically been shooting photos since 2015. At that point, I was going through a difficult time in my life, and I changed my focus from music to something else. I just needed a change, and I picked up a camera, started shooting, figured out I was decent at it, and the rest is history. Sort of got involved, everything snowballed, and I incorporated, etc., etc. Pandemic happened, blah, 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 and now I'm full-time. Until this year, I had worked obviously other jobs while I was building my company. I had worked in the service industry, I had worked at a call center, I had worked in marketing departments as a videographer, in insurance. But for the first time, I am now fully reliant on my own self. Now, why did I do it? I did it because of the freedom. That was the main part. And so that's one of the reasons why I brought you guys along today. It was to be able to show you what this lifestyle can get you. Obviously it's a Sunday, but technically on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, as long as I didn't have another gig, I would be able to just go and grab a coffee, go to a coffee shop if I wanted to. I'd be able to go and play golf in the afternoon as long as I didn't have everything else, another shoot. And so it does allow for that flexibility. It's always been what I've been chasing. Why? I just didn't like the constraints of having to operate during certain hours. I knew myself and I knew that once I get into a flow of something or once I get into something, I really can be productive. And oftentimes, colleagues, other people, timelines, hours, etc., commute would often detract me from being productive or doing the things that I actually enjoy doing. Now that I actually have this for the last month, how do I actually feel? I will say, obviously, it's scary. It is scary because March, April, and May haven't necessarily been the most profitable months. They've probably been the least profitable months of my entire career. That being said, I've got quite a few things lined up for the end of May, June, July, and so on. And so it's sort of that waiting game. So it does create a little bit of stress and definitely is not something that you can really prepare yourself for. But overall, I feel excited. I feel proud, obviously. It just hasn't really sunk in. I think that there's still part of me that thinks that that's not the case, that I'm sort of a fraud, that until I run a successful business, etc., that I don't have a business, I'm not working for myself. It just feels I feel very detached from it all. Nothing in my life besides the fact that I no longer go to a job has changed. I just do different things. I now have to get myself to send out more proposals or answer more emails, etc. But it's great because, for example, while I was at that coffee shop, I literally took a phone call from a client whom I'm going to shoot with the next day, which likely would not have been possible had I been working at a full-time job. So this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to go full-time in the first place, was to allow for that flexibility, because I felt like a lot of opportunities were being missed by the fact that I couldn't be there. And so, was it actually a good idea for me to go full-time? Arguably yes and no, right? Yes, I think, again, it allows me to take on opportunities like this, and it's allowed me to take on a lot more opportunities and go to Vancouver for a photo shoot, going to Calgary in a few months, etc. There's no time constraint. But it's also a bad idea because I don't have a stable income. Obviously, there's bills to pay. I don't live rent-free. I have my food that I have to afford, etc., etc. And so, if I'm being honest, I've completely depleted my savings. My savings have gone to zero, and I'm now sort of living day to day, week to week, really trying to manage my expenses as much as possible. It's a good thing because it's now teaching me how to be super frugal and to adapt my lifestyle to a different financial situation, let's put it that way. But I want anyone who's potentially debating on making this move to just have a little bit of insight of how that looks like. You watching at home are debating whether or not you want to go full-time with your business. Obviously, I would recommend you have some savings. Unless you've got reoccurring clients that are coming in every week and your net income is already significant, then yeah, if that's your scenario, then you may not need as much savings as the typical person would. But if you're not in that situation, I would recommend you have and establish a lot more savings before going full-time. Secondly, it is going to be rough. You do have to navigate the ups and downs. Depending on what you're doing, there's seasons. Here in Manitoba, winters are really rough, and typically most of the projects don't end up sparking during the winter. A lot of them are coming to fruition now during summer. There's a lot of weddings during the summer, etc. And so winter months are always rough to go through. I also have to mention that you do need a high level of discipline. Obviously, days like I had today where I can go have fun, etc. are fun, but you can't do that all the time. You do have to sit down and do a lot of things that you're uncomfortable with. For example, right now I'm trying to rebuild the company website. I'm trying to build a lot of social media content, YouTube content, etc., send proposals. These are all things that I don't necessarily have as much experience in, but I'm now forcing myself to have to sit down and do them because my livelihood depends on it. So I think that if you don't think that you have that kind of grind and you and historically you haven't been able to self-motivate yourself, then perhaps it's something that you can work on while you are still employed elsewhere in order to build that skill set, that habit, to then allow you to transition into full-time working for yourself. It would also be a good idea to have some infrastructure to your business already set up. So my business is already incorporated. I already have certain processes. I use ClickUp as a project management software. I use Google Calendar, etc. I book events that way. I use QuickBooks for the finances, etc. So I do have some processes that are already in place. I'm trying to fine-tune them as we speak. I have some sort of workflow, and so this is not the first time I've done this. It's taken me years to get to where I am right now. I'm still trying to perfect it, because the more time that it takes you to work on your processes, the less energy you have to do the things that actually move your business forward. And that's something that I'm learning right now, and so that's why I'm putting a lot of emphasis on streamlining some of those things. But yeah, I'm going full time. So the goal is to, as I do this, to post more on YouTube, because obviously YouTube could potentially become a source of income, which is a passive source of income, which is great for full-time entrepreneurs because we're all about looking for different streams of income nowadays. That being said, what's next with me? So as I mentioned, I'm going to be working on developing some of the processes for my businesses, some of the infrastructure, the website, etc., just streamlining it all. I'm also going to be investing a lot into YouTube. The goal now that I have less time constraints, that I can invest more time into creating content for the business itself. It's still going to be a stretch as I don't have infinite time a day, but that's one of the goals, and so hopefully if you guys stick along, you'll be able to see some of that journey. Another big part of the business is also, as much as I enjoy working for myself, it does tend to be lonely. You're working on your own, you're editing on your own, you're dealing on your own. And I'm a strong believer that working in a team definitely leads to better results and is a lot more pleasant, which is counterintuitive to why I wanted to lead the 9-to-5 lifestyle. But anyways, more on that in another video perhaps. But what I'm trying to do with Adventures Within Media this year is I'm trying to build a team. And so I'm in talks with a photographer, a logo designer, a podcast editor to offer more services that these people can also help expand it. But it's also going to create a little bit of a team environment. It's going to create a little bit more motivation, more enthusiasm, I think, overall. And I want to work with creatives. I want to work with people who are passionate about what they do. I think that will feed back into my own passions and the company as well. I want to be able to offer more services, but also better services. I want to be able to learn and develop more, and I think that having a team to build with is definitely something that will only enhance. And I think that having a team around that will definitely help me stay inspired. It's pretty crazy to say. Again, I've gone full time. I'm very fortunate, and I'm very thankful for everyone who's been a part of this journey and allowed me to take this step in my life. I am looking forward to what the business will become. I'm looking forward to what kind of person I will become through all of this. Even though it hasn't quite sunk in, I'm now a full-time entrepreneur. A young little boy who came from the country, who was absolutely nobody, is now working for himself. And so if there's any takeaway you can take from this video, is hopefully the inspiration that this is something that is possible for anyone, because I did it and I had no one show me how to do it, nor did I have many people believe in it. But before we all start crying, or at least just me, I'm gonna cut this video now. Hopefully, like I said, you'll see more videos on the channel moving forward. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the video. Obviously, it's gonna help me out as I'm building the channel. If you wanna follow along the journey, learn more about what I do and what the business is growing into, then please consider following. Also, leave me a comment if you have any tips or programs or software that you would recommend I look into in order to run the business. Like I said, I already have a pretty good system. I might be looking into Notion. Apparently it's a really good thing. I know Honeybook's also very popular. But yeah, if you have any tips, I'm obviously open to those ideas because you guys probably know more than I do. That being said, we're gonna cut it off. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.